Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. How's the library?
Library's good. I'm getting everybody's coming in now. This is the first time I've tried to do the live stream on YouTube, so we'll see how that goes.
I saw that. I thought, wow, you're ambitious.
Well, I think that would be easier to do.
So if it's live stream, you can join it. No, it's just posted as it's recorded on YouTube, so you can access
So
it.
it's just like a minute or two behind, but if you looked at YouTube now, you'd be able to see it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Have you read anything good lately?
I wish. I don't know. I'm having a slump again. This year has just been bad for me.
Yeah.
And reading.
I did read. Did you? I think you recommended that Jojo Moyes book.
Yeah, did you like it?
Give Her the Stars. Yeah,
I
it
read
was
the
good.
first one. Yeah, and the
Troublesome Creek one.
oh, that's right. The bookwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it Give Her the Stars? Is that the one with the horseback librarians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Cindy.
Hi.
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 Oh, there's Angela.
I'm supposed to clean up my PC. It's decluttering. Get out of here. Just like everything else in this place, it's cluttered.
I know, it's so, when you're around this stuff all the time, it's hard to keep using it, getting it out.
Yeah. What have you got, phantoms behind you, Kathy? What's going
Oh,
on?
what?
Is it raining where you are?
No.
No.
In Brentwood, it's raining. I was just wondering.
I'm in Brentwood. It's not raining here.
Is anybody else in Brentwood?
I'm in Maplewood.
Brentwood, where's that?
I went home to Zoom.
Ah,
Oh, yeah, that is your house.
Yeah, this is my house.
you're at the house?
Or you redecorated your office.
Nope. I probably added some more piles. Jeanette.
How's everyone?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
Good.
Doing well.
Good.
I just realized I was on mute.
Oh, I thought you were just doing the Zoom polite thing.
No, not yet.
Usually they try to mute me halfway through the meeting. Doesn't always work.
We have a secret signal and we all know what it is, but you don't.
I think I will if I notice somebody's chewing something really loudly, I might mute you.
What about drinking a beer? Does that call for
I
muting?
think I've done that before too.
I will be on mute because I have a dog.
That's
That
okay.
makes sense.
She just refuses to leave my room.
Is
I
she
have a
loud?
phone, so we're
Only when she hears odd noises.
Hmm. So she'll hear us and she'll be like,
Oh yeah.
Uh-oh, we gotta be careful then. A lot of hard noises.
She just won't leave. Hey, go out. Go.
My dog keeps trapping herself in my son's room during the day.
Oh goodness.
I say, okay, Enzo, is your door completely shut? And I come home today and she's in there. She's like, she got in, but she couldn't get out. She's just like kept peeking through the crack in the door. Ah,
Well, if my cat gets up here, she looks like Toonses. Do you remember Toonses on
oh
Saturday Night
yeah,
Live?
the driving cat.
Okay, so,
Wait a minute
Toonses.
while I turn my computer around, see if I'm not so dark this time.
Oh yeah.
You drinking, Ryan?
Caliber and a beer.
Okay, we may have to card you.
She just said it was NA.
It's from Guinness. Yeah. I can't drink anymore. It makes my heart go funny.
Ooh,
So
I hate when that happens.
not in a
I
good
know.
way, I guess.
I know.
Yeah.
I hate it too. I remember it happened to my dad as he got older. It's so strange.
When I drank, it wasn't my heart that got me in trouble.
Well, I'm not talking about trouble.
So Gary, waiting on Gary.
One, two,
Is Kathy in town? O'Neill?
six.
She has a meeting. They have a meeting tonight, I thought she said.
Board-
Oh wait, maybe she was talking about book club. Do you know?
Book club's next Tuesday, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
book
I'm
club.
getting confused with like who's like not coming when. I think
I thought she was coming.
okay.
I'll be at both.
Decided to reread the book. I read it so long ago, I've forgotten some of it. But
I haven't read it yet. But I
I'm
will.
gonna start it very soon.
okay, do we know anything about Gary coming or not? Any word?
I hadn't heard that he wasn't, so
Okay.
I guess say if you want to start, if it's
Well, I will be the thorn among the roses.
yeah. Yeah.
Just like book club, you know?
Well, that's why you're center square, Ed. At
What's
least
that?
on my screen, you're center square.
Right. Let's see.
Yeah. Okay, we're ready. Let's call the meeting to order. And I would like to start with my usual statement that we are having a Zoom meeting due to the pandemic virus in accordance with the opinion of the Missouri Attorney General's office. And are we available on live stream tonight?
We're live, yeah.
We are also on live stream. So we are, I think, meeting all of the requirements and needs. And we shall proceed. Calling it to order at 6:33. The very first thing we want to do is welcome our two new members.
Yay.
Happy to have Angela and Kelsey.
Thank you. Thank you.
We were very excited to talk with them and interview them, and they somehow passed the mayor's tough test and got by the board. So we'd like to welcome you both, and I'd like to hear a little bit about you, your background, your family here in Brentwood, and what you think of the library. And Angela, you were our first appointee, so would you go first and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a transplant from Illinois, but I live in Brentwood now for the last 4 years. So, and our children, they attend middle and high school. We have 4 children. We have also one oldest. He's at Forest Park Community right now. He just started. He graduated last year. Looking forward to serving the community, serving the board. Love the library. Love Miss Gina. And my background. My background is mom for for a while now. We have a 19-year-old, and I also work in education as well. I work for the St. Louis Language Immersion School in the city of St. Louis. I actually a TA, paraprofessional. Any job assignment they give me of the day. Today I subbed in French class. That was fun. So a little bit of everything. My hands in a little bit of everything. And thank you once again for appointing me.
Great. I love that. My background is mom. I mean, that's very important with library services. Isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Kelsey, you're not Andy, you're Kelsey. Says on the screen.
Yeah, so um, I grew up in Crystal City, which is about 45 minutes south of here, and we moved from U City to Brentwood about 5 years ago. Um, I have a first grader at McGrath who is singing loudly downstairs, which is why I had to close the door. Let's see, I have a master's in journalism, but I've never actually been a journalist. I immediately went to the dark side and started working in public relations, hated that. So moved into more general marketing. And that has shifted into a career that's mostly focused on digital marketing. And I am now the manager of digital communications at Ameren. Let's see. So most of my experience with the library thus far in Brentwood, at least, has been as through my husband, who is constantly checking out audiobooks, tablet with new things to read. So we are people that are there virtually quite a bit, but haven't really been in the building all that often. I see a lot of the programming for kids, for families, and I love it. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about all the digital communications that the library is involved in, and just seeing them branch out across social media and just kind of taking advantage of reaching audiences that way. So I'm excited to be able to lend a little bit of expertise there. Yeah, that's me.
Well, thank you. I was lucky enough to meet Kelsey when we were working on the Prop E for Brentwood Elementary Schools. So we have two new members who are both very supportive of family and what Brentwood Library can do for families in Brentwood. So we'll welcome you. And I don't know what your screens show, but I want to make sure you know who we all are. Jenna, of course, is our library director. And going across, Jardy is Cindy.
Yeah, hi. Forget the Jardy thing. I'm an alias.
She's our secretary. Kathy Ryan is one of our directors, and Lori Ashmore Ruppel. Did I pronounce that right? Ruppel? Ruppel.
It's actually Rupel. Ruppel sounds more fun, but it's Rupel.
One of our directors, Jeanette Osterly, is our vice president. Lynn Devon is our treasurer. Gary Truman is another one of the board members. And somehow people went out and got drunk and elected me president. So this is where we're at right now. We welcome you. I think we're going to be a very strong board. And if you saw from the agenda, we are an active board, and we've got a lot going on over the next few years. I did want to point out, Jenna, thank you very much. She sent out the roster of the Board of Trustees. And if there are any mistakes or changes you want to put on there, please let Jenna know. She'll correct that and send out a new copy if need be. But Jenna, thank you for getting that out.
It's good.
Of course.
You need to take roll. Cindy, would you do the roll call?
I will do it. Ed, right?
Yes. Here.
Jeanette Osterly. Hello, Jeanette, you're muted. Okay. Lynn Devon.
Here.
Lori Ashmore Ruppel.
Rupel, yes.
Angela Beauclair. Do you go by the hyphenated name, Angela?
No, we can just say Beauclair.
Okay.
Or Angela Jones. Either one is fine.
Okay.
Here.
I want to be proper. Kathy Ryan.
Here.
Kelsey Burkhamper. Sorry. Kelsey, are you there? Gary Truman.
Here.
Jenna Gibbons.
Here.
And Kathy O'Neill, not yet here. So we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Gary, I hope you're listening to some good music on those headphones, you know.
I'm listening to your good voices.
Oh, well,
So start singing it.
No, no, don't do that.
Please no.
I have a new practice I've been doing of starting each meeting with a quote or two relating to libraries or books or something that we're supposed to be doing. I have 2 quotes for today. This first one came to me several years ago and it surprised some people. This is a quote from Malcolm X. Malcolm X said, "My alma mater was books, a good library. I could spend the rest of my life reading, just satisfying my curiosity." I think that's a great quote for a lot of people to remember how much reading, how much books can really help people grow. And the second quote is from one of the Marx brothers, Groucho Marx. He said, "I find television very educational. The minute somebody turns it on, I go to the library and read a good book." So with that, we're into the meeting. I want to call a point of personal privilege first to say thank you to all the wishes of good health and hip surgery recovery and all that I received. Thank you very much. It's getting there. I'm doing my exercises, right, Jeanette? You got to do those every
Yes,
day.
you have to do them. Mhm.
And I will hopefully be back on the diamond and back on the courts by March. So thank you for all your
Wow.
nice wishes. The agenda has been put out. Again, thank you, Jenna, for your hard work on that. And as always, last minute changes that I send you. On the agenda, were there any changes, suggestions on the agenda?
Mm-mm.
If not, a motion to accept the agenda as submitted,
So
Moved.
moved. I think
Second.
by- was
Gary
that
gets
Kathy?
first, Jeanette gets second.
Okay, you got that, Cindy. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Thank you. Let's go on to the minutes. You all received a copy of the minutes for our meeting of June 8th, 2020. You all have seen the minutes. Are there any changes? If not, is there a motion to accept the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Moved by Lynn, seconded by,
Jeanette.
Thanks, Jeanette.
Jeanette. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. We are now at the public comments section of the meeting. As you know, we are streaming live in case anybody is able to join us. But the meeting is also, I think, being recorded, will be available online. Any public questions or comments are always welcome anytime and may be directed to Jenna, and she will pass them on to us as needed. I do not see any public comments, so let's move on to the aldermanic report. I'm not here. Okay.
Absent without leave.
She is either at a meeting or she's busy reading our book for book club next week. I don't know. So let's go to the library director's report. Jenna, you sent something out today?
I did. I sent you this afternoon a short report, and if anybody has any questions, I think when I sent it out, it did cut off that these numbers that I included that were about the library materials, they are August numbers. Yeah, so just so you know, it's kind of a snapshot of what we did in August. You know, real materials still far outweigh the virtual ones. It's an interesting phenomenon. So when people ask you if libraries are going to go away because everything is digital, you can say that no, not yet.
I'm really surprised there wasn't an uptick in the digital just because of COVID.
There was. I mean, it's not as noticeable. It's more noticeable the downtick in the materials, but we have increased. The e-media has increased. I don't know. August, though, typically is a kind of a slow library month. We do a lot of business in June and July because of summer reading club. And then August, everybody seems to either go out of town or they're preparing for back to school. So we do definitely have a slowdown. So there's, a couple of factors. But yeah, I also just wanted to say again that I don't think I've never been one that liked looking just at circulation numbers, just because I think they show they show a story, but it's just one part of the puzzle of what we do, and a lot of it is, in normal times, it's seeing people in the library. So these are it's weird.
Jenna, can you give kind of an anecdotal analysis of how things are going as far as curbside? Are any people coming in at this point, or they're out now, right?
Yeah, we're doing everything. We are doing some copying for folks and some faxing for folks. If someone needs something printed, they can send it to our email and we will bring it out to them. So we are doing some services like that are unusual, I'd say. And otherwise it's mainly people requesting materials and picking them up. We're trying to let parents know that they can send their because it's hard to browse on the computer. They could just say, I have 2 children, they are interested in dragons and dinosaurs, and then and how old they are, and we will gather materials. So we do a bit of that too, which is it's fun. It's fun for us.
What does an average day look like as far as your staffing, and not only how many you have there, but what are they doing, and are some of them also working from home, or what's that situation?
So our cataloger, Susan, she is a high risk category, so she is working from home. She took her computer home, and she does the cataloging. You don't deal with the public much, but so she's not in the building and working among us. She's at home. She'll come and pick up the books that need to be cataloged and then drop off the ones she's cataloged, and then so that's been working out well. So we have 2 shifts during the day. We have a 12 to 3 and we have a 3 to 6. And I try to have between 3 and 4 people each shift. So we're definitely, down in hours, but as you all have graciously allowed everyone to be paid normally through this, through the middle of this month, that's, I know, helped a lot of people out. So.
Okay, I'm sure somebody wants to, is there any type of future programming being explored or planned or anything, or at this point are we just kind of on hold as far as planning?
Well, definitely on hold for face-to-face. In terms of virtual programming, Sarah and I have been talking about it. She's our children's librarian, and we've definitely had I think the most popular things we've done have been the craft kits, and we had a few entertainers that we hosted live this summer that got a lot of traffic. But most things that she tries to do, like through Zoom, are just not well attended. I think I don't know. I think people are probably tired of being online, maybe a little bit. I don't know. So we're kind of talking about what we can do, maybe more of the canned kind of programs where people could drop in when they want, as opposed to doing something live, if that makes sense. And maybe doing another winter reading club was something we were talking about, since we do have a lot of funds left because we didn't get to hire the performers that we normally hire in the summer. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're thinking.
You have on the library projects, checking out Chromebooks for parking lot use?
Yeah, I would love to do that, just because, I'm not sure how long we're gonna be in this space of not allowing people in to use the internet. And though we didn't have a lot of traffic, it would still be nice to have something for the people that need it, you know,
Yes.
when they come. So I've heard, I have not looked into it because we've already tapped our computer budget this year. So if we do anything, I think it would be early next year is what I'm thinking. And also I've heard that Chromebooks are hard to find
Hard
now.
to Can't imagine why. Yeah. Okay.
All the schools have snatched them up.
So,
Lauren,
and
you had a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think you're right about the Zoom meetings, especially with kids being on Zoom. I mean, my boys are on Zoom all day.
Yes.
And
Mm.
it's like when they're done, I'm like, get away. Like we're not doing this again. I mean, and I'm on Zoom a lot of the day too. So it's like, I don't really have a desire to then get on computer again. I think the crafts were really good. I think the idea, we've done the book, just telling Sarah what we like twice, and have gotten, she gives us like 20, 25 books, and it's amazing because then they can really look through and pick what they like. So I think I would promote that even more, because it is hard to pick out books for your kids when I just usually go through the stacks and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, you know, judging by the cover.
Oh yeah.
That old adage. But yes, I think your thinking is right about people being zoomed out, especially if the kids, all the kids in Brentwood, except for the ones that go to private schools, are online all day. So
yeah.
That's been tough. Any
Thank
other
you.
questions on the
I
library?
have a question.
Yeah.
You are switching the distribution of the craft kits from mail to pickup?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Although part of me, you know, and we did that because, because it's expensive to mail things.
Mhm.
But I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm thinking that we do, again, we have a lot of that programming money that and that's what we use this summer, is we use that for our mailing, you know, to be able to mail all of them out. So we still have that money. So we could continue to mail some things. I don't know. So that's kind of
But the plan for now is to do curbside pickup.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you make a reservation and just come by and pick it up.
We have a Google form. You can go in and put your name on the form, and we've got right now we do an 80. We're still doing the 80 kits for kids, and I think 40 for adults, which we never hit for the adults.
Yeah.
It's always close. It's never, quite. So
You seem to be pretty consistent with what other libraries in the area are doing also. Would you say that? I mean, the contacts you've had with municipal and county and other places?
mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so, especially like libraries our size. Like I do look to Maplewood because they are pretty much the same population, same staffing, you know, it's a lot of similarities. Yeah, so.
Okay. Any other questions on our report? If not, let's go ahead and move to old business. And we want to talk about the question of staffing, and just a quick explanation to the new board members. We get our money through a property tax levy, and we kind of get that money whether people are going to restaurants or not. And as a result, our finances, our fiscal picture is very good. It's pretty solid now, it has been. For that reason, we as a board decided, I think initially was it in March, that we would keep paying our part-time people, or full-time of course, but our part-time people on the average basis of how many hours they work usually. And so they would continue to receive pay. They would be doing some work at home, they, you know, coming in when we went to curbside, that type of thing. We did not want to lose these people. And because we were in a financial position of being able to pay them, we decided to do that. Now we renewed that in April, May, June, in June, we renewed it up through September 15th, which is when it will expire. And I know the question is there going to be any change after September 15th, or should we go ahead and extend that again? Jenna, the last time I think you said one part-time person had opted out to get the unemployment with additional payment from the government. Is that right?
Actually, there were two. One of which is no longer working for us, which is was the custodian.
Oh,
And the other person came back, as soon as we reopened.
so your thought, I mean, obviously right now it doesn't look like September 16th, all the libraries are going to be open. I would think we're probably looking still through October. Would you say that, Jenna? Is that
Yeah, I mean, I don't see it changing. It's hard to know. I mean, if the numbers should become magical, and like
and
right now, I also look closely at like what the county library is doing too. And and when they went back to curbside, that's when I decided it was probably a good idea for us to do that as well. So, but even if we opened up to the public, we would still have to, enforce that not having so many people in the building, so not having as many workers in at a time, and then also not having as many, members of the public in at a time. We'd have to control that. So I feel like we're going to be under. I mean, we're not going to be able to give everybody full employment for the foreseeable future, and I'm not sure like when is that gonna. Basically, I think it's just going to depend on the disease and how it's handled in the community.
when we made the original decisions as a board to continue paying the part-time on their average rate, I think it was based on, number one is we had the money, we weren't going to be hurt financially. We wanted to keep our good staff morale-wise, and obviously when we do reopen, we wanted to have the staff. And Lynn, I don't think there's been a change as far as our finances that would work against our original reasoning, would you say?
Not at all. We're in very, very good shape, and I'll address that shortly. So financially, yes, we can continue to do this.
Okay, but I would like to bring up that I think the county had to lay off some of their staff at some of their things. I'm not saying, yes, we should lay off staff, but I would feel remiss if I didn't mention that.
They did. And
I heard that too, but I know they have a lot more people than we do.
I know.
Jenna, you were going to respond to that?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it's an issue. And I know it was very, very unpopular.
I know. I want to make sure we said it so nobody would say that, we didn't recognize that fact.
And I know the city let go all of their part-time people way back in March or April as well.
The city of Brentwood.
Yes.
Have they hired anybody back? Do we know?
They did. They furloughed, I think. And so they did bring people back, but not everybody.
Okay.
So we have had this discussion before, and obviously you new members, please feel free to jump in with your thoughts too. But I'm sensing that we kind of feel like, well, let's do this one more month at least and see what happens. Is there a motion to extend this through October 15th?
I'd make that motion.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on it? Okay, if not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so it carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know the staff is very appreciative, just ones
They
I
are. I am too. Thank you.
I know I'm going to take a lot of time, but I just want to say, some days you just sit back and think, oh my goodness, the effect on people in our country, people who work in restaurants, people who work at the ballpark, people who work in bars, people who work so many places. It's just incredible. So I'm glad that we are in a position to help out our little group of people. So,
Dude, thank you.
all right. The next on our old business is the financial committee. And I know Lynn you have some treasurer's reports, and you also have some information on the financial committee as far as, well, fiscal policies under new business. I don't want to go throw everything together, but should we talk about the reports now? Would that make sense, Lynn?
Or could we talk about safety and then go back and do all the financial?
Do
Yeah.
that. We could do it.
That makes more sense. Let's do safety and then we'll go back to financial.
Then we'll
Then do-
consolidate. Okay. Let's go to the safety committee, and I know from the library director's report, the system's installed, right? The security.
Yeah, we had the alarm system was actually this past Monday was it's finally finished. So so yay. Oh,
It's been what, a
Long-
year working on this?
well, I think really, yeah, it was since January that we really like started going on it. Like, so with the cameras and now an alarm system. So we've got both in place. So yeah.
So do they keep the steel gate down all the time?
They
I was
do.
going to ask that question this month.
It's like going, is it still
Thank
down?
you, Jeanette.
I know
It's
it's fine.
well, the question is it locked? Like it's it's always pushed together, but sometimes it's not locked. But yeah, I think it's been every time I go out there, I see that it is locked. And if I see anybody going in and out, usually they've been pretty good about telling us, like workers are going to be going in and out, and then I can make sure that it's locked after that.
So for the new people, maybe we should explain why we're doing this.
Well, when they reconfigured City Hall, they did a renovation late last year, this spring. They took all the foot traffic that was from the library entrance and was also an entrance to City Hall from the parking lot. They moved all of that to the front of the building with a ramp and made the staircase from the lobby in the library that goes up to City Hall. They made that inaccessible, but it was still like they had a gate there that has to be locked on the other side. It's weird. So there were questions about would there be people like being able to get in there and then like wait until
one of you leave.
One of us leaves and then come out, so it was, yeah. So we feel like it's been taken care of. And now we have an alarm system. And so if somebody tried to come through that door, it would sound the alarm anyway. So
we did lose all the traffic court book patrons.
Yeah.
Big readers.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that.
Yeah.
So anything else on the safety committee?
Jenna, did we get any panic buttons or anything? I know we talked about that a whole bunch of times. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, the system came with 4 panic buttons, so we can. Now our question is, we were like, oh, yeah, I didn't realize when you hit the panic button, it actually sounded the alarm, like the alarm. So I was like, oh, I thought that the panic button was so that you wouldn't like tell people that you are calling someone on them.
Right.
Like
you only did that once, didn't you?
It opened the gate.
No, we could silence it though. We have the choice to silence it, but the guy was like, yeah, but then you won't know if you accidentally set it off until the police come. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's that.
So
yeah, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. But we've got panic buttons, which is nice because, we have had instances in the past where staff have felt threatened. Like there was someone there and felt like if you called the police that you would, that something would happen.
Right.
So yeah, so it's good, I think.
All right, anything else on safety? If not, we're gonna move to a bunch of stuff involving money. And I'm wondering if maybe the first thing would be appropriate is to look at the fiscal policy and fine tune it, adopt it. And then we can talk more about the reporting forms and also the tax rollback question. That's all right. I think you all have received one of the later versions of fiscal policy that Jenna sent out. And there were a few suggestions. If you have that, you can get that out in front of you, unless you have it memorized, in which case you need to get out more. But there were some suggestions. Some of them were just grammatical. Jenna, I think
You don't like my A's?
about the A's and B's. Jeanette taught math in middle school, but she also made sure they had their A's and B's together.
Okay.
I roomed with an English teacher, so
Anywhere where there's an A and not a B, we need to either make that a sentence or an asterisk or something. I think we can just make it into a sentence, right, Lynn? I think-
Yeah, because otherwise it would be weird then when you added the A's and B's, right?
Right. We
Yeah.
can just eliminate the A and leave the sentence in that section.
Okay.
okay, what else was there?
Another subject that came up was to add somewhere that the bills will be paid in a timely manner, I believe. That was the wording, or on a timely basis.
Yeah,
I just wonder like what that means though. I mean, if it's a policy, you can't really enforce that, can you?
I think what it could be used for is if we don't do it, we could get in trouble. People would look at it, an audit, for example, an audit might come back and say, you said you pay it on a timely basis. I think it's also a statement of philosophy that a lot of municipalities have and all that. So you're right. I mean, enforcement is always difficult and I don't see it's going to be a problem, but
No.
where would you like to add that? Jeanette, I think, did you bring that up or?
yes, well, I did. I think Lynn probably did too. I'm
Yeah,
not sure. It could be,
I was
What
thinking
about-
around 8 or 9, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Because we're,
or
those
add it to,
are
how about if we add
corrections.
it to number 7?
That's what I was thinking, 7.
So we can add a sentence to number 7 saying that
every effort will be made.
effort will be made to pay bills on a timely basis.
Do we need to define timely basis? I mean, to me, that just
Oh.
from my experience, it's always 30 days from the date of the invoice or the date the invoice was actually received.
Which should it be?
Hopefully they're pretty close to the same. I would say invoice received.
Can we just say in the time frame of the invoice?
Yes, we would like it, we would expect to pay our bills within 30 days of receipt of the bill.
Okay.
Because if somebody sits on a bill for 6 months, it's not our problem. We didn't pay it in 30 days.
Okay. So, so you don't want to say every effort. Bills will be paid to make it a declarative sentence?
Yeah,
Bills will be paid by due date.
Every effort will be made to pay bills by the
No.
due date.
No,
I
ev-
just-
Yes, that sounds
Okay.
good, because there are going to be situations where we might be disputing the bill. And we're not going to go ahead and pay it if we have some issues with it. And that might be beyond the 30 days. It generally doesn't happen. I
But it
think the
can-
only one we've traditionally had some trouble with is West Community, and that was more a communication error between us and upstairs and West Community. But that's been straightened out, so.
So Cindy, what was the sentence you put?
I have no idea. Cross out. I was going to ask you, what do we settle on?
Every effort will be made to pay our bills within 30 days of receipt.
Okay.
Dan, this is not going to come up hopefully at all or very, very seldom,
But I don't want someone to come back and say you didn't put that in.
Right, that's why we have to still clarify that we've got a little bit of wiggle room.
Okay.
Must and always are bad things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 8.
Okay.
Number 8 says that the board treasurer or other appropriate board officer. And I was trying to remember if we'd had that discussion at one time or again.
Well, the signatories are listed in 3.
Is that
Number
the
3.
is that the same?
Is that the same? Would that be the same ones as in 3?
That was my question.
Which is
I don't know.
going to be a
No,
sentence.
that's for the
Well-
bank account.
Okay.
Here's the question. That statement is actually relating to 2 parts. It's signing basically the purchase order, saying it's okay to pay, and then signing the check. Anybody on the board really has the ability to say, yes, this payment can be made, but only the signatories can actually sign the check.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be like double
Um,
work? I agree. I know what you're saying.
yeah.
Well, I mean, does that mean you're gonna have, but only 2 signatures are required on over 5,000, right?
Correct.
So otherwise, then I guess you just have to say a board officer must approve all invoices and sign all checks, right?
Well, that's the whole point. A board officer doesn't have to approve them all. Any board member can approve.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not gonna do it twice. That we won't get them paid in 30 days if we have to have someone,
Try to find somebody.
yeah.
But shouldn't the designated signatories be for both operations? I mean,
Right, that's what
either those designated can sign checks or purchase orders.
Okay.
I mean, if you got them on the bank as signatories, then they ought to be the ones to sign the checks.
Absolutely.
That's who the bank's
The
going
only
to
ones that can
recognize.
sign the checks.
Pardon?
They're the only ones that can sign the checks is the signatories on the bank.
So number 8,
But since we don't really know our detailed process yet, we're gonna have somebody approving the bills before the check is written. We haven't even decided who's writing the checks yet. So
do we want on number 8 to say that basically the signatories listed in number 3, or one of the signatories listed in number 3 must approve all invoices and sign all checks? And
sure,
signatures are required on all checks. Isn't that what we want?
sure.
I think so.
I think that makes sense.
Gina, does that work?
Is that work for you, Cindy? Can you get that?
Okay, so number 8, any board, any of the signatories is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Listed in number 3. So
We only
we probably
require one of
Any of
the,
the,
we only require one person to approve the invoices.
okay, of those signatories.
5,000.
of the board members.
Right, and then we have a finance person that approves the check. Right
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Right now, and that's gonna go away.
I think if the president, vice president, treasurer, or director should be able to approve the invoice, sign the checks.
Okay.
That makes sense?
So, and the 2 signatures are required on all checks would be of those people.
On checks over $5,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, over 5,000, right. So we keep that, but we take it out of A, it would be a sentence.
Yes.
It's not an A.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say we have a bookkeeper and so they would just get everything. Is there any, okay, just because I'm not in the world of finance, I don't think this is like not my territory. Would they be able to, would they be involved in that process at all?
I don't think they would.
I don't think so. No.
I think they process it, but I don't think they approve because they're not
They
have
wouldn't
them
approve,
No, they
but I mean,
wouldn't.
like when in the writing of the checks, do they have like a stamp or something? You know what I mean? Like if once
Those
it's
are
been
all
approved,
Those are all decisions we're gonna have to make. We
Right.
can have the bookkeeper, certainly the bookkeeper is probably gonna be getting the invoices and making sure that, you know, they're matching up with packing slips or whatever comes in to make sure that that's a valid invoice. And then we're gonna have to figure out what it means. Are we going to, do we want two people to approve everything? Because right now we do, we have a board member and then we have the finance department.
Right.
If we're doing it ourselves, we won't have the finance department. So,
In my experience with the government, you don't have the same person doing both. You have
correct.
It seems like
one
a
approval and one signing.
yeah.
I'm so confused.
I'm very confused.
And the part that makes it more complex is the bookkeeper is probably going to have all the invoices. There will be an approval process, and maybe we would be making the purchase order side sooner so that the purchase order is approved, and when the invoice comes, they get matched, then a check can be written. The bookkeeper can physically write the check and then have the board or somebody sign it. Part of our difficulties with trying to, it's basically internal controls. We want to make sure
Two
that
people.
no one person who can do every single step.
Right.
So some of the things we want to be aware of is that Jenna's doing a lot of the ordering. And so therefore, we don't really want Jenna to approve the purchase order and sign the check too.
Right.
So,
True.
so yeah.
So yeah, I don't think approving purchase orders is a good idea just because I feel like that's going to be very cumbersome. But like I feel like if we could do it some way like we do it now, where we have the invoices prepared, the board member signs off on it, the accountant is, you know, the person doing the, you know, the entering, so they're also like preparing stuff.
Right.
And then once the board member does that check, then that's basically they're rubber stamping it to cut the check, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Lynn, are you saying the bookkeeper is basically someone who just kind of matching up the invoice and then preparing a check, but not able to sign it?
Yes, that's doable from a bookkeeping standpoint, yes.
So let's say
And
we
of course,
have
they would enter the information into the accounting system.
so we
Right.
have an invoice for 50 books that we bought for $2,000. And we get the invoice, the bookkeeper gets the invoice, it gets approved by Jenna or one of the other signatories. The bookkeeper prepares a check. Now the check has to be signed by one of the signatories on
Correct.
the bank, right?
Right.
It seems like a lot of hands.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why we would have, I think, the person who's doing the check and so it would be an officer, basically.
It's still going to be 2 steps because when you approve the bill, the check isn't written yet.
Right. Well, I would
So
think,
there's going to be a step of approving the bill, and then there's going to be the second step of signing the check.
I would think that Jenna, you would be the one who would know to approve the invoice, what the invoice is for, and did we get it? Is it what we wanted and all that? And then if you approve the invoice, and then the bookkeeper prepares a check to go with it, and then one of the signatories, president, vice president, treasurer, signs the check.
And I'm going to be real picky. Who mails the check then? The bookkeeper? Do
Well,
we go?
hopefully it's not mailed. Hopefully this is electronic.
No. Oh, yeah. Can we-
Let's discuss-
That's another thing. It's like, I'm hoping this will be a more electronic process.
Yes, because otherwise you're having to mail the invoices and all that
Mhm.
stuff.
Well,
Again, from an internal control standpoint, if Jen is doing the ordering, she shouldn't be doing the approving as well.
Okay,
you know what?
But we are a small operation, so we're not gonna be perfect in all of our internal controls. It's just something to be aware of, whether we feel that we're comfortable with that.
okay, but if Gina does, I'm sorry for those of you who haven't had to sign checks before. Gina makes up a list with what account and where it's going and how much. And then one of the officers signs the invoice. And then if that went to the bookkeeper, then could that same person sign the check electronically?
Same board member.
Same board member? Or would
That's
it,
what I was thinking.
or would it have to be a different, could it be the same board member? Or would it have to be a different board member?
See, I was
It
thinking
could
if
be
you
the
could,
same one.
yeah, so if you could just have a control where you say, okay, that person approves the invoices and the check, then the bookkeeper can do the rubber stamp or, whatever.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
and there's like there's something in there that's, that says I approve, I sign or something, you know what I mean?
DocuSign or whatever it is.
Yeah, because because right now, like Bola doesn't sign all those checks, but they all have her name on it. Like,
At some point, especially with the volume, there's usually a stamp.
yeah.
So we won't have the volume for a stamp.
I would like to suggest that, I hate to do this because I want to adopt this tonight, but I want us to fine tune this and present it, even if we do it by email, as soon as
Ed,
we can. And so
Um,
I would think that Jenna and Lynn and Jeanette and I could attack that by email or whatever in the next week or so. Is that so?
Ed, I think that the financial policy is an overall umbrella. The specifics of who's signing and the process of the paperwork does not need to be in the overall umbrella of the financial policy.
And those are
So-
internal
so
controls.
Financial policy could be approved based on what we've written, and then as we get into the nitty-gritty of how we are going to do everything on our own, we'll be able to come up with those policies independent, more of like an operational policy rather than an overall financial plan.
Okay, so what you're saying is maybe leave some of the specifics out of the fiscal policy that we're looking at?
Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I think the conversation was for number 8, so if we could just say it's officers instead of saying, I don't know,
Right.
right? Isn't that?
Right.
Yeah.
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 Employees
So-
and three.
Yeah.
So officers so we want signatories for both approval and
Yes.
check.
Sorry, Cindy, you can't sign a check.
So
Wait,
num-
Cindy.
number 8,
Cindy
again,
can't. I'm
Cindy
not the
could.
signatory.
one of the signatories,
Oh,
Oh,
No,
I-
she's
Oh.
not.
oh, okay. Hmm.
I just want to point that out.
You know, I've grieved over it. I'm over it now.
Okay,
I'll be fine. I have a therapy appointment next Tuesday.
so it would read, signatories must approve all invoices and sign all checks. 2 signatures are required on all checks over 5,000.
right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm interested in what the newbies, are they overwhelmed? Does this make sense? They're very quiet.
Elvis is
They're
left.
still here.
Yes, yes, checks and
Yeah, it
balances.
That's a mom duty.
Change number 8 to read the signatories mentioned above one of the signatories mentioned above must approve all invoices and sign all checks. And 2 signatures are required when all checks over 5,000. You got that so far, Cindy?
No. Okay, let's start over. Because I've got about 18 lines here that have been crossed out. So I'm sorry, I'm just dumb.
You're not
No, you're
dumb.
not.
You changed it 47 times. So signatories must approve, that's what I would just do. Signatories must approve all invoices and sign all checks.
That's what I have.
And then 2 signatures are required. So get rid of the first part of sentence 8 all the way through officer and insert signatories.
Okay.
One thing I guess we do need to add though is that electronic payment is acceptable.
If what?
We need to make in the policy that we can pay electronically instead of
Oh.
just a paper check.
Oh,
So it's still a signature though. I mean, you have to
Correct.
Yeah.
punch a button that says,
Sign all checks,
Sign all,
electronic or otherwise.
Yes,
just say
perfect.
Cindy, add that to number 8.
What did you just say?
Electronic checks or payments are acceptable.
Well, doesn't it cover it? It says all checks.
all checks.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
redundant to say
Just
every
say
kind
all
of
checks, either electronic or actual or whatever the word would be.
All checks. Yeah. I know.
Yeah,
I
all
agree
checks
with Kathy.
Covers it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you caught up, Cindy?
Signatories must approve all
Okay.
invoices. What?
Well, but there's a problem.
Okay.
Signatories means that Gina can sign it.
Yeah,
Oh, with the director. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Sorry.
but it's gonna be
Board,
on a
you
case
could
by
say
case
board
basis.
signatories,
Board signatories.
No.
not on the board.
Sure.
but they're all officers, just board officers.
Except I'm not a signatory. It's just the president, vice president, and treasurer that are signatories in that for the bank thing. So
We may eventually have a secretary we trust though, so we might want to put,
Don't abuse the secretary.
Do not, because nobody wants that job. Okay, I would just say board signatories.
yeah.
board signatories. Is it B-O-R-E-D?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Board
What's that?
signatories must approve all invoices and sign all checks. And the 2 signatures are required, blah, 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 for over 5,000.
all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, there was a concern raised or a question raised about whether this provides for hiring a bookkeeper, and I think that's covered under number 5. An outside accountant or bookkeeper, can we put, or is that all right?
Oh,
My interpretation is that a bookkeeper is assumed. I mean, we would be assuming that somebody within the library is going to be handling those duties as an employee. And so therefore, putting number 5 in says, we don't have to have an in-house person. We can send it to somebody else.
Okay.
That's determined by the board. Yeah.
Thank
Correct.
you, Miss Accountant. Okay.
Okay. I think those were all of the concerns that have been raised within the last 30 days.
There's
Anything else?
if we're trying to be really consistent with the getting rid of the A's, the solitary A's, the number 11 has a solitary A.
Yes. It needs to go.
So we just make that a
get rid of
sentence.
them.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I just said
You're
I'll
not
get
gonna
rid of
repeat
them.
Well, you know.
Any other
It's a-
discussion?
A question for Lynn. Lynn, does anywhere need to be said that all of this is done in accordance with accepted electronic accounting principles.
Ooh,
Ah,
Would that be a good umbrella statement?
Well,
I thought that was there somewhere, to tell you the truth.
would that limit us? Would that give us restrictions more than what we want?
it really, it won't change what we do. We actually probably run under GASB, which is the governmental side. And that's actually totally wrong. I don't even remember what the acronym is for it, but we actually run governmental finances rather than typical GAAP. Generally accepted accounting principles.
Yeah, I know that's all been revised, so that's why I'm
Yeah.
I don't know what the proper term is now.
Would you like to add something to the, let's say number 17 on the back page, that all practices will be in accordance with accepted accounting procedures?
That sounds
Yeah.
fine.
Or
I think that's a good umbrella.
Yes.
Okay, say again,
all, good, now I have to play back my recording.
practices.
Number 17.
Yeah, number
Right.
17. All practices will be in accordance with accepted
Accounting principles.
procedures or principles.
Okay,
I think it's good enough for government.
okay, wait, there's another one. I forgot. Number 12, tax revenue is received by direct deposit in the library's general fund.
That's right.
Yeah. I thought we already changed that, did we not?
We
Well,
just need to take out by direct deposit.
okay,
Or just by direct. The tax revenue is received by deposit in the library's general fund. Okay,
Okay.
record is gone. For those newbies, the city has to get the tax revenue and then they give it to
Give
us.
it to us.
So it's moved twice.
They go on a trip to Vegas and then they give us the money.
Leftover.
Leftover money.
It's fancy, I'm not sure.
Okay, that's all that I can remember that's on our list.
Yeah. Would you like it read back to you, or do we have a good feeling on what we have done? Do we have a consensus? Do we have a feeling that we could vote on it?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good.
okay.
I need a motion to accept the fiscal policy as submitted.
Lynn, do it.
I move to accept the policy as adjusted this evening.
Moved by Lynn, seconded by Jeanette.
Jeanette.
Se-
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And
Oh,
thank you very much, Cindy. If you and Jenna and Lynn or whoever, if you would get that final, and send it to me, and we can kind of look at it and make sure that,
Play with it, yeah.
that
Tweak
was-
it.
Okay.
that'd be great. Thank you.
okay.
7:33, we got a couple more big items. And don't worry, the Cardinals are winning 10-0, so we're okay.
11.
Please tell me they're not playing.
That's
the
why
Cubs.
I'm using these. Lois is watching the game.
Okay, Len, you have, let's do treasurer's report and reporting process, and then we'll talk about the tax rollback, okay? So go ahead.
Sounds good.
I know you have some concerns that we're still not getting what we need from the city. Am I right?
Yes. More or less. Basically, I thought we would be further along than we are. Just as a review for everybody, our fiscal year, as Ed said, I think he said earlier, is January through December. Our revenue comes in mostly November through February and March. The revenue is based on the tax bill that is sent out in October. And we will be deciding on a rate soon within this meeting because that is due to the county in September, the end of September. We have been very fortunate. We were able to, we raised the tax rate, what, 4 or 5 years ago now? And it hadn't been changed in like 25 years. So we are now getting a good amount of money. We are, we've gone from borrowing from the city to having a surplus. And so we've looked at the guidelines for how we're supposed to spend the money. We're supposed to be spending 15 to 18% on material. And we recommended reserve is anywhere from 6 to 12 months of expenses we should have in cash reserves. So we've paid attention to that when we've set out our budget. And at the moment, that's a nice big fat spreadsheet I sent to everybody. There's basically 2 sets of 3 columns each. It's comparing this prior, well, the month of August for the current year to the month of August last year, as well as to a monthly budget amount. And then we do the same thing on a year-to-date basis. So we have a little bit better feeling for the flexibility of how, you know, just the timing on how things work out. So at the moment, we are very much under budget, which, you know, shouldn't be too much of a surprise since we haven't had patrons in to do a lot of things. So on a, let me think about how to say this. Right now, we are under budget by, what was that number?
89.
$89,000 just to this point this year. So that's assuming we spend what we budgeted the rest of the year, which we may not do. So the main areas that I noticed for this past month, basically in the column that's got a percentage, if it's over 1%, that means we're spending more than we've budgeted for. And really the only areas were janitorial because we've got a lot more PPE materials to buy. The computers look like they're over budget because of the way we report. Jenna received grants to pay for some of those computers, and we have to record the grant money in revenue. We can't offset our expense. So our expense looks too high, but we had planned for that revenue coming in. Another instance is the children's books right now. Like if you were to look at ratably over the year, the children's books have been ordered a little bit faster than we allocated for. Just something to remember for towards the end of the year that we don't go over budget on that. What frequently happens is we might be down in one category and we're up in another. So we'll probably in December, we'll probably have to do a motion to revise the budget so that we might have spent more in children's than we did in adults and move some money around in that way. Yes, and again, another recategorization, we're going to have less part-time salary expense because the janitor is no longer with us, but our miscellaneous or our contractual expenses are higher because we're contracting out for that, which we hadn't planned on. So it's really just moving money out of the personnel account into the contractual account. Otherwise, as I said, we are really under budget.
We're doing okay, and obviously 2020 is not going to be the model for anybody's budget year in any company, I think.
No, not at all.
And ours. I guess my concern, and I don't know if we want to talk about that much here, as much get the right people together. And that is that the reports are saying that you're getting from the city are giving us the information that we want. And
Well-
that's still a work in progress. Am I right about that, Lynn?
It is. I don't know if the layout for the city reports is by their design or not. To me, it's weird because they start with last year's information and then they look at this year's information and then they look at budget. I want to see this year first. That's all, that's the way I think. So, from a accuracy standpoint, one of our issues is that we are meeting so early in the month, they haven't had a chance to finalize everything. Like right now, I have got a balance sheet, but they haven't reconciled the bank account to make sure that they've accounted for everything. There may be some journal entries that they do on a monthly basis that I don't have recorded yet for August because it's only September 1st.
How do we make this, how do we resolve this with, who needs to meet? Jenna and you and me and Bola and Karen, or what? How do we make this
I
happen?
don't think we need BOLA. We just need to talk with Karen and have her, I think basically they just need to tell us when they're actually done.
Okay. And then we're going to get a bookkeeper. We're going to do our own reports anyway.
Correct. So
I
when
just want this
it's
to,
our bookkeeping in our firm that we've hired, we have better control to say, hey, we're going to make sure all of our checks are written the week before the end of the month, and whatever we need to do to make sure that our financials can be printed accurately when we want them. And again, I'm assuming that a system that we're using is going to allow us to design the reports the way we want them to read.
okay, so why don't we work on getting this little cadre of people together, just sit down in a room 6 feet apart and see if we can
Sure.
get the report the way we want it, the way, and a way that Jenna can help do it, or if we get this bookkeeper that's going to come in and work for Jenna, and whatever it is. But I know we need to get that resolved. So
So our
overall,
goal,
our statement right now is we're in good shape.
Yes.
And any questions on the treasurer's report? And Lynn, I appreciate all the work you do in gathering all this together. And I know, Jenna, you've been working on it a lot too, but any questions? If not, motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, Gary made the motion and
Second. Cindy.
Cindy seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 No. Okay, thank you. Now, the other question under new business was, and I believe, Len, you brought it up, the question of rolling back the tax levy. Quick explanation is we get our money. We are a tax district. We get our money. It's collected by the city, and then they give it to us. But the levy, the rate, is set by the city for them and by us for the library district. And right now we are kind of rolling in money. And I think that,
explain
hey,
it in
we
the-
could roll back the rate for this next year, and Brentwood taxpayers would pay a little bit less into the library district. We'll have money, we have income, we have good reserve funds. And what it comes down to though is that the process would involve working with the city to change whatever submission it goes before the public and getting that done like real quick, right, Lynn?
Within the month, yes, certainly
you
before
represent,
our
go
next
ahead.
meeting. The city is going to be discussing their
meeting?
rate at their meeting on the 8th. And then towards, with the alderman, right? I think that the 8th is with the alderman, and
Hold up.
then there will be a public commentary later on in September that anybody can go to and say whatever they like.
okay, but I think for the new people, the reason we have money is we need a bigger place. So we've been saving money towards a new building. So
Right.
we just aren't squirreling away money for any reason. We know we're gonna need a new building. So that's why we have cash. So,
Just want to say, oh, that we lost Ed, but here he comes. I'm like, we lost somebody. Here he comes back. Okay.
all right.
There he is. Okay.
Let's-
So bear in mind what Jeanette just said. We are looking at well, we know we need a new building. We've known that for a number of years. More space. I shouldn't say a new building, more space. We feel that we're limited where we are, that there's no opportunity to really do anything. That's why we keep saying new building. These numbers are going to sound big. They're not as big as we think they are. Right now, with all of our cash, we have $1,572,217.15. We can utilize as much as $374,000 the rest of this year if we spend all of our budget money. If we keep a year of operating expenses in reserve, that's $761,000 based on next year's budget, the 2021 budget that we forecasted last year. So we have a surplus of $437,000. That surplus will grow if we come in under budget. The amount of money we can collect in taxes for 2020, the maximum amount we can collect is $917,500. Our budget is only $761,000. So we're looking at more than $200,000 difference. And yes, we would normally like to stockpile it for new building, new space. We're going to need more shelving and everything else with more space. But due to the environment we're in, it's probably a little bit more reasonable to dial back a little bit and collect less money, be less of a burden on our patrons at the moment, and move forward with maybe adding another year or so to have enough money to do what we want. I did send you all a sheet that was the rate. It's I just pulled myself off my screen. Where did I do that? There we go. Nope. Well, can you all see me? Because I can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can see you.
Good. So our rate is divided into 3 different categories. We have residential, commercial, and personal property. When we voted for the new rate, we voted to increase our rate to 30 cents. And with the magic that happens with the county assessment, we're actually collecting or allowed to collect 30.9 cents for personal property taxes, but only 28.5 cents in commercial and 25.4 cents in residential. From what I understand of the formula, basically what it comes down to is they take the assessed valuation, they take how much revenue we were allowed to collect the prior year, add 1% to that, divide the 2, and that's how we get our rate. My proposal is that we go ahead and do, my first thought was to go ahead and just do a 3-cent cut. We would collect $815,899 instead of the $917. So we're basically giving up $100,000. It is a little bit more than the $761 we need for next year. My concern is that I am not 100% sure how this affects us next year. I've asked for input and I haven't really gotten a good answer. My understanding is that the 917,000 that we're allowed to collect, we should be allowed to collect 1% more than that next year. I'm afraid that we might only be able to collect 1% more than the 815 if that's the amount we choose to go with. So I don't want to get too low and then not be able to get back up to where we want to be. Does that make sense to everybody?
So Lynn, what we're talking about is we have a good surplus of money right now. We have enough for our budget obligations plus a nice reserve fund. And it's not affected by the pandemic as far as we know. The amount of tax money that's coming in. The question is, do we want to roll back as kind of a showing of goodwill and everything to the citizens who support the tax levy with their payments? Do we want to take that chance and then maybe in the future, if needed, roll it back to the maximum that we have now?
Hey, Alan,
And
I can't figure out how to get the screen back.
a couple of things that come to mind. Number one is
How do I see
we
it?
don't really know for sure what the next year is going to be like. And I'm thinking about that not only in our expenditures, we have to start spending more money to catch up with what we didn't spend this year. But also, and this just kind of came to my mind earlier tonight, is will there be some attempt politically, legislatively, to grant some relief, some extensions of any kind on property taxes because of the pandemic?
Right.
Would there be a either an extension or, you know what, you can make in payments or even a rollback of some kind because of the effect on property owners? We don't know that. I mean, we know legislators love to cut taxes. I don't know if that's something that could happen either.
But they can't cut ours.
Huh?
They
Right,
can't cut our tax rate. We're the ones that control our rate.
Correct.
Yeah.
We may not be able to control the collection of that.
Yes.
If
Well, that's what I'm
the
saying.
county is
Yeah.
saying,
They-
you know,
they
if
could-
there's an extension.
They could do something that would delay or extend the collection. We may not have all the money we think we're going to have when we have it. That's just one of my concerns. And I guess, you know, being the fiscal conservative that I am, quit laughing. Is it a chance we want to take, knowing that we can go back and increase it again next year? Lynn, do you see this mainly as a gesture to the citizens?
Yes. Yes.
That's the way I look at it. Yeah.
I
But
think citizens would appreciate it, but I have a question. Would the library get credit, as it were, for the rollback, or would it just be like maybe the city goes up 3 cents and then there's a net zero? Do you know what I mean?
we can make it public.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've been to the public tax meeting. I don't remember how they present it. Whether they specify each line item, what the amount is and what could have been collected, but we can certainly promote it ourselves.
Mhm.
Right. Well, that's what, yeah. I mean, I think they would just say what the rate is set at the hearing. And then, I mean, it wouldn't be like they rolled it back. They would just say that's the rate.
Right, probably so.
Is it your understanding that the city would take care of the process on this? The
Yes.
bidding and everything else?
Yes, we just tell them what rate we want to use. And they will Karen will go ahead and put it in the spreadsheet. Just for your background information, the spreadsheet to calculate this is 8 pages long with many, many points going here, there, and the other where. It's very, very confusing. So I'm so glad Karen does it for us.
Do we have time? Do we have time to do it this year? Lynn?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
We would need a vote tonight though, am I right?
correct.
Okay.
I have a question or just a statement to the people who don't look at the numbers. We have a $500,000 outstanding that's owed to us. Correct, Lynn?
That was as of December
December, the-
31st.
Right.
We actually collected all of that and $15,000 more.
Oh, never mind. Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah, the numbers I gave you, the 1.5, that's everything we have right now.
Oh, okay.
So I think what it comes down to, if I can put it in quick terms, is that we have the money we need for our budget for this year and for next year. And
Correct.
we have enough reserve in case something really crazy happens. Our tax levy rate is at the maximum now, which we've had for a while, but we could at this point roll it back and thus result in a little bit less of a burden on Brentwood property taxpayers. And we could, of course, change it again next year. This is an annual thing, right? Lynn?
Correct.
Right. I think those are kind of the issues that how we want to look at. It's we don't feel a threat to us financially. And it might be something nice, look good for the public. Thoughts, other people's thoughts, please.
New people? I'm always trying to get the new people to say something.
Mhm.
Been a lot. We've laid a lot on you tonight. Our meetings aren't usually like this.
No.
Do you think that people, they would appreciate the rollback this year, but next year, if we have to go back, because who knows what's going to happen in the world? Will they see us as just, that was just, really didn't mean anything. Now you're putting it back up to something higher,
That's hard to say.
Yeah, it is hard to say, but
It's hard to see, I don't know how other people would interpret it. We have the option of not rolling back at all. So, we could be collecting $200,000 more than we actually need for next year. And people might still think that that's excessive. Even though we know that it's going to take quite a bit of money to have a new space. The other thing that affects our tax rate year to year is whether we're in an assessment year or not.
in a
Where
what?
they've gone out, an assessment year where they go out and they
Yep.
actually reassess everybody's property. They do that every 2 years. We're in an off year now, I believe. And
Yes.
next year they'll be reassessing. So once they do that, the numbers all change anyway. So it's not that we want to intentionally hide it. I don't think we're saying any of that, but I think it's going to be much harder for somebody to see that their rate changed because we changed the rate and not because their house value changed.
I think we also, likely, we get out in front as a good PR thing and say that we took this in consideration of the effect of the pandemic on Brentwood property owners, and we felt that we could take this step this year. Let people know we're being proactive.
Mhm.
Good.
Right.
What rate are we talking about then?
I figured a 3% a 3-cent reduction in each of those categories. If we do the 3 cents, that would bring us to collecting $815,000, almost $816,000.
Okay.
$100,000 less. It's still
More than we need.
1,000 more than we need.
Right.
But as I said, I don't want to cut so far back that if we are going to be readjusting on the 815, that it's going to take us that much longer to get back to the 900.
Don't do that. I don't think we should do that.
I mean, we could even go less than that if we still want to do something, but not as much as 100,000. I mean, I can we can decide how much money we want to bring in, and I will make the backwards calculation to figure out what the rate
You're
is
saying
for
that
each category.
3% would take us estimated revenue down to about
3
8,
cents.
3
3
cents.
cents.
3 cents takes,
3 cents, I'm sorry. 3 cents.
reduces it by $100,000.
15,000. Okay.
So does that come off every single category or is it just,
3 cents off of each category.
oh. Okay. All right. Well, I would say figure it out backwards, whatever it is backwards, so that we have, what'd you say, 800 and,
815,899.
okay. If we have my,
That would be, that's exactly 3 cents off each category.
then I would say,
Perfect.
yeah, I'd say call it that. And so if we have to vote that way, then we can readjust if it's.
You can get with Karen and figure out what they need to present at the hearing to get us that money.
Correct.
All right.
And I-
For the sake of moving ahead, can we have a motion to?
Lori had a question.
No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna make a comment that 3 cents off each category, I, as a property owner, probably am not gonna recognize if we do 3 cents or 2 cents or, so I think that we need to do what's right for what the library is. And then like we kind of talked about, like, how do we then present that to the public as we recognize you and what this year has been for all of us. And this is what we decided to do to help the community. But I just think that with those little numbers, we can make that decision and it's still, I'm not going to notice it unless we tell.
Right.
So
Right.
I think we need to do what's best for what the numbers we think we need for next year. So I'm fine with figuring it out afterwards, is what I'm saying.
We can certainly publicize it through the Pulse and our website, even through the City of Brentwood's website, and however we need to. Would somebody like to make a motion? Lynn, you want to make a
Can I
motion?
motion that my own thing? I will make a motion that we roll back our tax rate by 3 cents in each category to collect $815,899.
I second it.
There's been a motion and a second. Is any more discussion on the floor? Can we do a roll call on this, Cindy?
Okay. Sure. Hang on. I have to get my list because I don't want to leave out anybody. Ed,
Yes.
okay. Jeanette,
Yes.
me, yes. Lynn,
Yes,
Lori,
Yes.
Angela,
Yes.
Kathy,
Aye.
aye. Kelsey. Kelsey, you there? I can't hear you.
yes.
Yes. Okay, sorry. Gary,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, and so it passed. At this point, then, and maybe you and Karen, and if you need me in on it, I'll be glad to talk with you, but if we can move ahead with the process. And then I'd like to work with you on press releases.
Okay,
How we're eventually going to say that do this, if that's okay. All right. Thank you all. Again, to the new people who are about to submit their resignation, we are 8:04 and we usually are not this late. But I knew that there was a lot, plus we had not met for the last 2 months and we are in strange times. Our next believe it or not, we do have a very, very, very quick executive session. First of all, any other public comments? Nobody? Okay. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Moved by Lori, seconded by
Jeanette,
Jeanette. Roll call on that.
Okay. Ed,
Yes.
Jeanette,
Yes.
who's up next? Kelsey,
Yes.
pictures. Lori,
Yes.
okay. Kathy,
Aye.
okay. Me, yes. Lynn,
Yes,
who else do I, who else do I?
Angela?
Gary,
Angela.
I got, yeah, Angela, sorry. Angela,
Yes.
okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
did you get Gary?
I got Gary,
Okay,
yes.
I'll stop the stream then, just a
Okay.
second.